Hello and welcome to Mystic Visions with DrShiny. This is a monthly tarot reading for Aries for the month of May. So welcome Aries, and let's go ahead and get to your reading. Okay, so Aries, what we have for you is the Four of Wands, Six of Wands, Eight of Swords, Eight of Wands, King of Cups, King of Swords, interesting interplay there, Ace of Coins or Pentacles, Knight of Wands, oh, I'm sorry, that's the King of Wands, High Priestess, and the Queen of Wands. So, a lot of court cards here, a lot of big energy. So you have three kings here. And the one king that is missing is King of Coins. And, you do have Ace of Pentacles, but coins are not a huge factor in your reading here. So you're maybe on a little bit more of an emotional willpower. There's a lot of wands, a whole lot of wands. So maybe this is more about action and doing and that kind of thing. So let's just go ahead and get into your reading. And what we have for your current situation is this Four of Wands here. And it's in the reverse. So the Four of Wands typically represents a happy, healthy home. I personally like to envision or conceptualize this. And I'm pretty sure I'm the first one to have done this. I don't really care, but but I'll fight you for it. No, I'm just kidding. But I'm pretty sure that I've never heard anyone else describe it this way. But with the Four Wands, I always thought about why this card has such a high association with a happy home, with a wonderful home life. And I really kind of broke it down because wands represent action, right? Or willpower, effort. And there are four walls to a house, of course, but there's also four types of primary energy flow within a house, or with not necessarily within a house, but to make a good, happy home. And the four types are, first of all, you have to have good energy going into the house. You have to put maintenance energy into it. You've got to maintain it. You've got to clean it. You got to do all those things, the laundry, the dishes, those things, the routine work that goes into making a house a wonderful place. You've got to paint the walls. Don't know if you noticed, but we have some freshly painted walls in this room. And that kind of thing. So the second type of energy would be energy that goes outside of the house. Even if you have a self-sufficient house, you have to go out into the field and plant something, right? So you got to go put work outside the house to bring something back in to sustain the house. You got to pay the energy bill. You got to do those kind of things, or figure out a way to procure some solar panels. But there has to be some sort of energy that is put outward, away from the house, that sustains the house. The third part gets overlooked a lot, but the house has to be someplace for you to rest. For you, it's kind of like your home base. This is where you recharge your batteries. This is where all of that, and this is a type of energy because it actually it has to be a decision to rest. Somebody tripped me out the other day. They were talking about how one of the craziest things about being human is that in order to go to sleep, you have to pretend that you're asleep. And then after a little while, it just happens. You fall asleep, right? But in order to actually go to sleep, you have to just like sit there and pretend that you're asleep and wait for it. So that's kind of funny. So it's actually an action, right? It's an action that you're going to go take rest, or that you're going to meditate, or you're going to do those things. It's not, and granted, once you're in that action, it's restful. It's the absence of action, but it actually requires effort for you to get into that state. So that's that third type of energy, because if you're constantly at the end of your rope, you're like about ready to have a nervous breakdown, then you're not going to have a happy home. Even if everything else is going perfectly, if your health is not going perfectly, it's not going to go well. And then the fourth type of energy is, where is it going? right? There has to be some sort of an overall direction. Your house has to be a sort of staging point for your goals and your dreams and your desires, right? You have to be able to pursue some type of interest, some hobby, even if it's, gardening or something like that. There's always there's a human need in a happy, healthy home for there to be direction in your life and that kind of thing. So when this card is showing up in the reverse, it typically means that some of this is out of balance in some way. And some of you may have been listening to those types of energy and felt that you're really good at one or two types of energy, not so good at maybe one or two others. What's required, remember, for you to have a happy, healthy home is you have to be able to balance all of those things. And there's a proper balance to it. And it's unique to each individual, but there is always a balance there. And you have to be able to cultivate an attitude of thinking, well, I'm talking myself out of balance here. I'm trying to unbalance the situation or make excuses for why I don't need rest or why I don't need to pursue my own happiness or dreams, that kind of thing. But what's influencing you or crossing you is this Six of Wands. Okay, so Six of Wands is about victory, achievement, and that kind of thing. So I think that what that means is that the part of this situation that's out of balance is that sort of jumping off point of, are you following your dreams? Are you doing what you want to do? And either you're doing that to an excess or not enough. And typically tend to think it's not enough. But on the other hand, you could have too much of a mental focus on those things, but not be putting in the effort, right? So then you wouldn't have enough. So it's not just about mental energy. It's about action. It's about doing. It's about what are you actually doing to get these things done. It's not enough for you to think, oh, I need to go to the store. You have to actually go to the store, right? On the same token, it's not enough for you to think about what you want to do with your life and your plans. You have to actually put work into it. Okay, so this is about achieving some things, about getting your life into balance by moving out of the realm of thought and getting a little bit more into the realm of action and doing. Okay, now for what you're moving away from, you're moving away from this Eight of Swords. And the Eight of Swords is a feeling of being trapped, but it's your own thoughts that are trapping you. You kind of feel like there's only a finite number of options. You're not really considering all the different things that are available to you, and you're hung up on a certain set of options, and that's not all there is. There's actually some more available for you, and you just have to kind of take your blindfold off and recognize that there is more to the situation. Now you're moving, well, it's in the reverse. So you're already moving past that. You're already past this situation where you recognize that there's more to be done. You're open to new possibilities and taking some accountability, and you're moving past it. So that's good. What you're moving toward is this Eight of Wands. And the Eight of Wands represents action, something happening, about moving away from the mental space and going, going kind of with the flow of the universe. Things kind of tend to happen quickly. They tend to happen spontaneously. And it's kind of like you got to hold on because it's going to take off without you if you don't. Okay, so what's in your foundation, or this tends to represent the subconscious or the lesson that the universe is trying to teach you through all this. You've got the King of Cups. And the King of Cups is all about, he's very much a go with the flow, emotional type of person. Very in tune with his emotions. He uses his emotions instead of having his feelings kind of get over his head or get the best of him. He's really good at using them for fuel for his actions, and he's also a really good. He's a healer, and he's a good person to talk to. He's a person that people always want to talk to. Now, this being in the foundation, there's an aspect of you that either wants to be this person or this person is trying to develop you. There's a little bit of a mentorship going on here from the King of Cups, and he is trying to show you in a sort of what's the word I'm looking for? he's not trying to hurt your feelings or be harsh or things like that, but he's trying to prod you with your emotions to get you to act or to recognize where you need to go. Now, with the crowning thoughts, or what's in your conscious mind as opposed to your subconscious, you have the King of Swords. So the King of Swords tends to think his way through things. He is an intellectual type, a little bit more manipulative, and he thinks that clever thinking is the way to go as a rule. And this being in your crowning thoughts, this could be how you are. You think you can figure things out, or use your mind to get through this. But in as we were saying earlier with these other cards, thought alone is not going to do it. It really takes action. Intellectualism can be a form of like laziness, and I'm guilty. I'm totally guilty as charged. It can be a form of laziness where you try to think for solutions rather than just like doing something or acting. There's the old adage, work smarter, not harder. And yes, that's a good advice on the one hand, but to an excess, it can be an excuse not to do any work. And sometimes what's necessary is for you to really just like put some elbow grease into it and get it done. This is a situation like that. This is a situation where your thinking is not serving you so much because action is called for. Wands are all over this reading, and it's going to be necessary for you to get more with it. Now, advice for you is this Ace of Pentacles. This represents there's a new opportunity for you, a new financial opportunity, or just something within the physical world, which it's like a seed, right? And you can see there's roots sprouting right here. So this thing is ready to grow. It's ready to go. You just need to create a good environment for it. You need to create a happy and welcoming environment for this thing to flourish, and it will on its own almost. It's not going to take a whole lot of effort. And this is your advice. So your advice is to be looking for the situation where there's something that all it takes is for you to cultivate it, to grow it, or I shouldn't say to grow it. That gives people the wrong idea. If you're growing a plant, it's not you that's doing the growing. It's a plant that's growing itself. And all you do is give it the right conditions that it needs. You give it the soil that it needs, the water, the sun. You ensure that it has those things and that it's not being eaten up by bugs or something like that. And by creating a favorable place for it, it grows on its own. But you're not doing the growing. Like, don't get a complex. Don't be full of yourself. So that's what's going on here. It's about creating or fostering a healthy environment for your dreams to flourish. And it takes action to do that, right? So your environment card here, you have the King of Wands in the reverse. So there is a potential for some action here. Now, your environment represents those around you or somebody around you, not typically you, but it can also represent kind of climate around you, right? The way society is or that kind of thing. But it's the external world. And with the King of Wands, I tend to think of the King of Wands as a CEO type, right? A real doer. He's very, very much involved. I often use Elon Musk as an archetype for this fella. And the reason for that is because, he's a little bit of a controversial character because some people would say he's a little less than moral about the way he does things. But he gets things done at all costs. It's not negotiable whether things are going to be accomplished or not. And sometimes, it's like the ends justify the means. So that can kind of be the way the Knight of Wands is. I keep saying the Knight. The King of Wands. He is going to get things done. And sometimes steps on toes or, doesn't allow people to chime in or contribute or feel as though they are the boss, right? He's not looking out to save feelings. He's just going to get it done. Now, in the reverse, there's a little bit of a lack of that energy. So there's not enough determination around you. this has probably rubbed off on you a little bit. You've probably kind of fallen into some cycles of not not being as active in getting things done. Maybe you had a parent who was very smart, very intellectual, or wealthy and able to get other people to do work for them. And this, you know, in one way or another, you've been conditioned not to roll up your sleeves and do these things yourself. Okay. So, and some of that might be subconscious. It may be not that you're like actively thinking, you're not lazy, right? But you might not recognize that sometimes you hesitate, you delay a little bit because you're trying to think things through instead of just throwing your hands in and doing it, right? Okay, so your fears card, you have the High Priestess in the reverse. This typically represents, you know, fearing that you're cut off from your intuition, or that you don't have good instincts, or that you don't know exactly, you know, what you should be doing, or that you won't be able to figure it out. In relation to the way this works with action, with doing, right, the wands, you have to have confidence in yourself that you're going to be able to navigate the situation like as it unfolds. You know, moving forward into this Eight of Wands, this surprise that something just happens spontaneously. You got to be able to navigate that situation on the fly. You can't prepare for it ahead of time. Otherwise, it wouldn't be spontaneous, right? So this is about having some confidence that you're going to be able to navigate the situation, having some faith. And if you do have that faith, you'll find that you're much more prepared than you think you are. You don't have to have a plan, a mental game plan for everything that happens. You just have to have the sort of will to act. Okay, and then that's where your overall message comes in here with the Queen of Wands. So the Queen of Wands, like the King of Wands, very masterful with action, with getting things done. She's a little bit more internalized, though. She's a little bit more she's developing herself and her abilities of manifestation, her ability to act. The king is, you know, he already knows all that stuff, but he's projecting those abilities to get things done in the world around him. Whereas the queen, this is a development activity. She is building herself from the inside. So in relation to all these king energies, there's a focus a little bit on getting things done externally, or you know, achieving certain goals or whatnot. And really through this situation, you need to be focusing more on how you develop your own characteristics, your own self. Because as you develop yourself and get yourself into alignment, the external kind of follows suit. It's like a as above, so below type thing, or principle of correspondence, where the outer world is really just a manifestation that represents what's going on with you internally. So if you get yourself in order, if you want to change the world, change yourself, right? And that's kind of what goes on here. So instead of having that dominant male energy really running the show for you, figure out a way to turn your focus a little bit inward and figure out where you're imbalanced and put effort, real action, real effort, you know, I said it again, but real effort into making things more balanced or more equitable within you. Okay, so that's about it. Thank you for watching, Aries, and I will see you guys again next month for your next reading. And please leave me some comments. Let me know what you thought about it, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thank you for watching.